Okay, now I'm going to give you a little maintenance tips and kind of show you the difference between a nice new shiny fitter where the tracks have been lubricated and everything's clean. You know, there's play in the wheels. It's pretty straightforward. So when I flip it back over now, you'll also see the cords are new and white. Okay, here's a nice old fitter that's been used a fair bit. Probably hasn't been maintained in our showroom all that well, but it gets used a lot. So I'll go back to the tracks in a second because they could use a good cleanup. But what we want to show you here is just the difference between older cords and newer cords. These aren't necessarily bad, but there's a couple things we can do. When we have old cords, I'm just going to take them all off. They get fuzzy, as you can see, they get a bit oily and dirty, but they still work fine. What you're looking for is how much movement there is here. And if the cord's getting a little bit too loose, one of the little tricks is just take it off and do a quick knot in the end, and you can tighten the cord up a little bit. Now this can't be done too many times, but it will give you some more life out of the cords you already have. If they're not feeling very good and if they're getting kind of old, I really highly recommend considering replacing them. $29 or thereabouts for a replacement kit. And it's so easy to change when you just do what I just did there. You take the cords out, push them down in, make sure they're all the way down. There's a lock that holds them there, or a ridge. And when I go to clean up the machine now, I've got the cords unattached. I'm not going to change the cords, these ones are still fine. I'm going to flip it over and just put it right back in the wheels like that, so it's nice and easy. So, pretty dirty, not terrible, but I've got some WD-40 in a rag here, so I'm just going to make sure the dust is off of it. Not hard at all. Maybe give this a little wipe just so it looks better. And make it brand new. So now, just a small amount of WD-40 on each track, and I'll rub it into the cloth. I'm just trying to get the dirt off and keep the tracks nice and smooth like a freshly paved road. It makes all the difference in the world on the use of your Pro Fitter when you do this. The last thing I'm going to do is just make sure the wheels are all clean. So that's pretty straightforward. I'm just going to make this so you can see it. I'm just going to take that same rag and just spin the wheel. Get some WD-40 on it, get any dirt off of it. Sometimes you'll see a buildup of, I don't know what to call it, just dust that gets compressed or maybe an animal hair. But you want to keep the wheels clean, just like having good tires on your car. It's not hard to do. And while you're doing it, you'll feel if the play on the wheel is good. You know, these are all fine. They have a little bit of play. That once it's done, it never changes again unless you hit it. But that's a very rare problem, but it's good to be aware of it. Sorry, and now I'm just going to put this back on. One thing I can do here is I'm going to take and switch these two heavy cords because the outside one doesn't get used very much. And the inside one is always on. So I'm going to pull that off, move this one over. See, these ones already been knotted again, so it tells these cords are getting pretty old. But we want to use them when customers see what old cords look like, so they're familiar. You can see all these have shortening knots already. I'm going to just pop those knots back in, and all down nice and safe. Put the cords back on, back to the 2 setting, 1 heavy, 1 light. And then for me, I like 3 soft. It's a little bit easy on me, but it feels good. So this machine has just been cleaned up. You still see how the skate moves, the bottom rocks, and the foot pads flex. Those never change. You just watch this now. I'm going to just step up. I don't need a balance aid, but put a little bit of weight on it, move it side to side, and then gently step up. I think these cords are so old that I should be not using them. I should have 3 heavy on for my weight.